Have you ever watched a moment in a show that suddenly made everything click? There's one episode that finally cracks Stewie's biggest paradox, and the way it explains his entire existence is something fans never saw coming. The clues were there all along. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Stewie Griffin was never meant to be normal. From the moment he appears in the series, he talks like a tiny British supervillain trapped in a baby body, mocking his family, building weapons, and threatening the world like it's his afternoon hobby. But the deeper you look into his story, the clearer it becomes that his intelligence isn't just rare, it's unnatural. Something is wrong with the universe he was born into. And in one episode, show finally exposed the truth. To understand how insane this gets, you have to start with Stewie's beginning. His life didn't start with a cute nursery or a warm welcome. His life began inside a war zone. Even before he was born, Stewie was fighting for survival. His earliest memories weren't toys or songs, they were battles. He remembers fighting other sperm to reach the egg, and he remembers eliminating the only twin that dared to survive beside him. Most babies float around in peace. Stewie's first day of existence was a murder scene, but that's nothing compared to the chaos that came after. Even his birth comes with contradictions. One episode shows him emerging into the world with the iconic football-shaped head. Another reveals he was born completely normal until a stupid trampoline incident flattened his skull into its permanent shape. It's almost like the universe can't decide what version of Stewie is real. Like his timeline glitches every time you look at it too closely. That unstable origin ties straight into Stewie's personality. From his very first episode, he speaks full sentences, uses advanced vocabulary, and openly hates his mother. Not just a light annoyance, this baby wanted Lois gone. He spent entire seasons building machines, traps, weapons, and whole simulations just to wipe her off the planet. It wasn't a comedy to him. It was an obsession, a tiny genius trying to destroy the woman who brought him into the world. But here's where the paradox gets louder. For all his intelligence, Stewie is still a baby. A baby who falls for peekaboo. A baby who panics when Lois disappears behind her hands. A baby who still gets distracted by belly tickles and struggles to read simple shapes. One moment, he's a mad scientist. The next moment, he cries because he thinks Peter vanished behind a couch cushion. You can't explain that with normal logic. It's like two different people are fighting for control inside him, and the show treated this as normal for years. Then comes the episode that changes everything. Season 9, episode 16. This is where the writers finally reveal why Stewie is so smart, why the world bends around him, and why nothing about his backstory lines up. In this story, Stewie and Brian accidentally break the rules of reality and fall into a place outside time itself, an empty white void where physics collapses and thought becomes power. And when they try to return home, Stewie overloads the return pad in a way that drops them back into the universe long before it existed. The blast from that malfunction matches the exact radiation pattern scientists call the cosmic background, the leftover energy from the Big Bang. Which means Stewie Griffin didn't just witness the birth of the universe. Stewie Griffin caused the universe. The paradox begins here. If Stewie created the universe, then the universe created Stewie. A loop with no start and no end. A child who exists because he exists. A baby who is literally the source code of his own world. This alone explains why nothing in his life follows normal rules. Why do his timelines contradict each other? His intelligence is beyond reason. Why does he seem to snap back even after timelines collapse? He isn't surviving reality. Reality is surviving him. But the paradox gets even more twisted when another character gets involved. This is where the whole story flips again. Because someone else tries to erase the timeline that created him, and Stewie is forced to do something even more impossible to keep himself alive. And that moment is the key to everything that comes next. Because the moment another person tries to erase Stewie's timeline, the mask finally comes off, and the universe starts glitching like it's terrified of losing him. The threat comes from Bertram, Stewie's half-brother, rival, and the one baby in the entire show who's just as ruthless as he is. Bertram finds the time machine and traces Stewie's genetic line back centuries. He discovers that Stewie's entire existence hinges on one specific ancestor, not a normal ancestor, not some random fisherman or farmer. No, Stewie's timeline is tied directly to Leonardo da Vinci, a genius creating a genius, a perfect match. Bertram decides to destroy da Vinci and wipe Stewie from existence, and the moment he does, reality collapses hard. Buildings fade, people vanish, the present starts turning into a blank void. It's the same kind of void Stewie and Brian saw outside of time. Except now, it's swallowing their universe from the inside out. That alone proves Stewie isn't just important. He's a load-bearing character for the entire world. Remove him, and everything shatters. But Stewie refuses to disappear. This is where he shows just how dangerous he truly is. Instead of panicking, instead of mourning the death of da Vinci, he realizes what he has to do. He must replace the missing piece of his own bloodline. He must make sure Stewie Griffin still gets born, no matter what changes in history. So he takes the most extreme solution possible. He injects his own DNA into da Vinci's lover to restart the bloodline himself. Let that sink in. Stewie rewrites human history using his own genetic code. He becomes his own ancestor. This isn't time travel anymore. This is self-creation, a literal time loop in human form. And once he plants the DNA, he builds a freezing pod, seals himself inside, and he orders future humans to bury him underground for 500 years. He arranges messages, maps, and instructions across centuries just to make sure his present self eventually digs him up. Stewie Griffin doesn't just save the timeline, he engineers it. That's not the behavior of a baby genius, that's the behavior of a cosmic architect plugging holes in reality like he's patching drywall. And this revelation ripples across the entire show. For years, fans noticed that Family Guy breaks logic all the time. Babies acting like adults, dogs talking, humans being impossibly stupid or impossibly brilliant. But when you look at the episode through the lens of the paradox, it all lines up. The universe has one mission: keep Stewie alive, and it bends probability, genetics, intelligence, and entire timelines to achieve it. That's why Peter and Chris are unbelievably dumb. Something in the family tree had to sacrifice intelligence just to load more into Stewie's brain. That's why Brian is unusually smart for a dog. Consciousness leaked from that white void into him too. That's why flashbacks break physics. They're memories from alternate versions of Stewie that exist because the universe stores backups of him. Every anomaly points back to the same origin. Stewie is the blueprint the universe is trying to preserve. And once you understand that, his entire life becomes a giant warning sign, because nothing about Stewie is stable. Not his identity, not his emotions, not even his accent. His personality shifts because he isn't a normal child. He's a product of cosmic recursion, a paradox pretending to be a toddler. But the most revealing piece of this puzzle comes later, in another episode. One where Stewie finally opens up about the one thing he keeps locked behind all the inventions and sarcasm. His identity, his real voice, his real fears, his real self. And once you hear what he admits next, everything about Stewie's paradox finally clicks into place. Because Stewie's paradox isn't just about science or timelines, it's about identity. And the moment he finally cracks open that armor, everything makes sense. In one of the most disturbing and honest episodes of the entire series, Stewie goes to therapy, and for the first time ever he drops the accent. Not slips, not jokes, not a cutaway, he lets it go. His polished British voice, the thing that made him feel superior, melts into a normal American child's voice. A voice that fits his size, his age, his vulnerability. And the second he speaks that way, he admits something the show had been hinting at for years. The accent is fake. It's a mask, a shield, a way to hide the fact that deep down, Stewie feels insignificant. The paradox made him powerful, but the family he ended up with made him feel tiny. So he invented a persona that made him sound older, smarter, and untouchable. But the dark truth hits harder than the voice change. The therapist becomes the only person who knows Stewie's real self. And then, in one ruthless moment, Stewie lets the therapist die from a heart attack just to protect the secret. That's the paradox again. Stewie isn't just brilliant, he's emotionally unstable, a baby who carries the weight of the universe and breaks at the thought of being ordinary. After that confession, the show makes something clear. His intelligence isn't just unnatural, it's a burden, a cosmic error trying to pass as a child. No wonder his timeline threatened to collapse when Bertram interfered. No wonder the show constantly resets his character traits. Stewie isn't evolving, he's glitching. But the paradox doesn't stop with his identity, it spreads to the people around him, especially Brian. Brian is the only one who can always understand him no matter what. When Stewie switches moods, accents, or even timelines, Brian follows without question. That's not just friendship. That's a side effect of the Big Bang paradox. Brian existed in the white void too before the universe was born, so his consciousness formed out of the same impossible moment. That's why he's the only character who talks like a rational adult in a world where nobody else acts normally. His mind is tethered to Stewie's, but there's one more piece, the strangest, most overlooked part of Stewie's entire existence: Rupert. Most people see Rupert as a toy, a prop, or a joke. But think about it. Stewie tells Rupert things he tells no one else. Rupert responds in ways others never see. Rupert anchors Stewie emotionally in ways no human can. The theorizer suggests Rupert might represent the subconscious of the universe itself, a direct line from the entity that needs Stewie alive to the child who manipulates it, a teddy bear acting as the last backup of his sanity. And then there's Penelope, the one baby who matches Stewie perfectly. She appears from nowhere, with no parents, no backstory, and no limits. She's not just a love interest. She looks engineered. Like the universe tried giving Stewie a partner, a counterpart, maybe even a future co-creator. But the clearest proof of the paradox comes from the future version of Stewie, the sad, lonely, pathetic 35-year-old who works in a cheap shop and never lived up to his potential. When baby Stewie meets him, he's disgusted, angry, horrified. How could the universe's chosen child become this? And then future Stewie admits the truth. A traumatic moment made him fear taking risks, and that fear infected his entire life. Baby Stewie doesn't accept that. He fixes the timeline again. He overwrites reality again. He destroys that future version of himself and resets everything so he can become what he's supposed to be.